Alcor is pleased to welcome you all to today's webinar. Founded in 2008 and headquartered in California, Alcor is a global cloud advisory and implementation services company serving Fortune 500, government agencies, and other leading organizations in multiple industry verticals across the Americas, Canada, and India. Alcor is a ServiceNow Gold Services partner and also partners with Salesforce, FireEye, Microsoft, and Bomgar. We advise leading businesses on cloud platforms, architecture, enterprise service management, and integrating IT service delivery. We also provide business process consulting to capture, re-engineer, and improve processes that can easily be automated to deliver real value. The Alcor consulting team has in-depth expertise in business strategy, cloud technology, and organizational change management. Our ongoing webinar series is designed to inform, enlighten, and start discussions within your own organizations. If you require any additional information after listening to today's webinar, please reach out to us through our website, www.alcortech.com. Today's webinar is also on social media. You can follow, comment, and get regular updates for today's webinar with the hashtag AlcorWebinar. That's hashtag or #ALCORWEBINAR. We have time reserved at the end of this webinar for Q&A, so please feel free to type any questions into the questions section. Today's webinar topic is Top 5 Reasons to Implement ServiceNow Performance Analytics, presented by Bruce Theodore. Bruce is a senior consultant with Alcor Solutions and has close to 10 years experience in ITSM and ServiceNow. He is ITIL v3 Foundation certified and is also ServiceNow System Administrator and ServiceNow Performance Analytics certified. Bruce has been involved in financial services, government services, and the hospitality industries, implementing and improving ITSM processes and ServiceNow. I will now turn the webinar over to Bruce.
Hello all. Thank you for attending today's Alcor webinar. On today's agenda, we're going to be taking a look at what is performance analytics, how to align data, people, and goals. We're also going to be taking a look at leading and lagging indicators, indicator and breakdown sources, and then last, we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 reasons to implement performance analytics in your organization. All of this will be followed up by a demo, just showcasing some of the things that performance analytics can do, and this will be done utilizing demo data. First off, what is performance analytics? PA is an application that provides analytical functions that are applied to KPIs or key performance indicators. This is all done within the ServiceNow platform and is done without the need to utilize any lines of code. PA provides business service owners historical trends in time charts more clearly with moving averages, weekly and monthly averages, and also trend lines. Because PA has been built in ServiceNow, it's going to give users the ability to gather information through jobs. These jobs can also be automated or manually run at the leisure of the individual running these jobs. Since all the data is actually being gathered in ServiceNow, it's going to eliminate the need to export data from other sources, which is going to ensure data accuracy. So no more need to combine or merge data from outside sources. Next, we're going to be taking a look at leading and lagging indicators. This is a very important definition within reporting. Indicators are also known as metrics within some organizations, business metrics, or KPIs, key performance indicators. All statistics that businesses track to measure current conditions and forecast business trends. A lagging indicator is a measure of a company's historical information, meaning that it's difficult to improve or influence these types of indicators. A leading indicator is a measure preceding or indicating a future event used to drive and measure activities carried out within an organization. When looking at this from a reporting perspective, we can see that our lagging indicators will drive our process improvements in order to influence future and leading indicators. It is very important to utilize these two types of indicators in order to define specific trends. This is going to allow organizations to fully understand current state and drive continuous service improvement. Next, we're also going to take a look at indicators and breakdown sources. In the image displayed here, we can see that we have a facts table which feeds into a source table, and then we actually take that information and drive our indicators with the information obtained. An indicator source is a definition of what records should be gathered from a table in the database. It can also be referred to as a facts table. The indicator source is used to gather large amounts of data, and then the indicator itself will refine the data to return scores set on specific conditions within the tool. We'll be taking a look at some of the conditions that you can utilize once we get into the demo. Our breakdown source also gathers information from a facts table. Breakdown sources define the list of options available for each particular breakdown. Next, we're going to take a look at the actual data architecture of performance analytics within ServiceNow. We can see that we have 4 tables here, and we're going to explain what each phase means in the PA application. In the first one, we're looking at base tables. Performance analytics starts by getting its information from these base tables. These can be things such as the incident table, the requested item table, change, and many more. The data is then collected from the base tables through data collection jobs. Again, these can be automated or they can be manually run. These are going to define what data to retrieve and when to retrieve that data. Next, the data is collected and adds scores and populates the performance analytics table. What that means is the information obtained through the data collection jobs are going to be populating our indicators, our breakdowns, and our scores. Once we have all the information that is needed, the data from performance analytics can then be visualized on scorecards, dashboards, and widgets. This information can be displayed in multiple ways. We could set it through line graphs, through bar charts, through pivot tables, a number of different ways we can do this. One thing that Alcor strives to do when we're implementing performance analytics within any organization is we have 6 steps in order to obtain the data that we need. First, we define the indicator sources. Next, we create our indicators. They may be automated, manual indicators, or formula. Generally, automated indicators are used for obtaining information over a long period of time. Manual indicators are normally used when we're trying to dig down in information, look through historical records. And then lastly, we can actually create formula records that are a little bit more complex. Once we've created our indicators, we then set up our breakdown sources. We're going to be defining what values you can select when you apply a breakdown, which I'll show you a little bit further when we get into the demo. Once our breakdown sources are created, we then run our collection jobs. So we'll collect the data in order to populate our breakdowns and our indicators. Once we have all the information needed, we can then view our scorecards. Now, scorecards, again, once we get into the demo, I'll show you what those look like, but they actually display scores for single indicators. And then lastly, once we have all of our information defined, we can go ahead and actually create new dashboards, or we can utilize the dashboards that ServiceNow offers out of the box. Now we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons why your organization should implement performance analytics. The first one being is to increase customer satisfaction. By utilizing PA, we're going to be able to reduce the duration of time needed to fulfill requests and resolve incidents. This is done through monitoring different types of reports within performance analytics, such as aging incident reports, the last time incidents were updated, and these can all be put on a dashboard that's visible to managers and anybody else that information is relevant to. Second, we're going to establish a single version of truth. We're going to be able to share up-to-date visualizations on performance across teams. We're going to be able to establish a single version of truth by examining services and delivery by driving behavioral change. Again, we come back to the point where ensuring that records are updated, ensuring that our teams are mindful of the amount of records that are building in their queues, we can drive behavioral change. Next, we're going to maximize return on investment. The increase To increase the adoption of new and improved services and processes, we'll be able to monitor the usage, ensuring investments are put to good use. Any new applications that are entered into the ServiceNow application, we'll be able to create reports for. We're also going to be able to monitor how many types of requests are coming in, how many different types of changes are being implemented, and just have a holistic view on the entire organization's performance by using performance analytics. Now, number 4, it's also going to give us the ability to understand resources and our staffing needs. By using PA, we can analyze and understand work groups' daily activities. This is going to give us a better understanding in how current resources are actually being allocated. We'll be able to monitor individuals' queues, group queues, queues against categorization. Again, it gives us a holistic view of the performance that the organization is driving. Last but not least, we're also going to be able to improve our continuous service improvements. By using performance analytics, we're going to be able to pinpoint areas for performance improvements and take actions using key indicators. This is very important because these indicators that are defined early on are going to be what's used to drive our continuous improvements. With that being said, I'm going to move on to a demo within the ServiceNow platform. Once the demo is done, we can then move into a question and answer portion of today's session. Now, I'm going to be displaying ServiceNow. I'm currently logged in an Istanbul version of ServiceNow. In order to access the Performance Analytics application, you'll have to navigate to the application navigator on the top left-hand side and type in performance. Once we've located the application itself, we'll navigate over to dashboards. ServiceNow has many dashboards that are created for each particular module. Depending on your organization's needs, Performance Analytics has pre-built content packs for each application that ServiceNow offers. ServiceNow actually offers roughly 350 different KPIs for different applications within the service management tool. I'm going to show you that by going to System Plugins and filtering for Performance Analytics type plugins. We can see there's quite a lot here, ranging from application portfolio to change management to discovery, CMDB, financial management, and many more. These all can be activated. They all have their out-of-box indicators, jobs, breakdown sources, and indicators all set up out of box. For today's demo, I currently have the incident management content pack enabled. So we're going to be able to take a look at some of the out-of-box reports and some of the dashboards that are given to us through that content pack. Please keep in mind, a lot of this data is demo data. Some of it may not look 100% right. It's only because it's demo data. While taking a look at the dashboard, we're actually taking a look at the incidents daily dashboard. At the top here, we can see we can actually do a little bit of filtering before even digging down into any of these particular widgets. We can filter down the incident daily report by groups work, or we could even filter it down by categorization. Now, by modifying this, if I were to put cab approval group, we can see that the entire chart has changed because we've set certain conditions to display certain details only. So let me just move this out of the way. We can see that there's an upward trend. Now, we can change this to any number of groups, or we can clear the filter completely, which will display all information without any conditions. We can also filter against incident categories as well. So we can pick the incident category. We have the incident category drop down. Because we're using out-of-box values, we can, for example, filter by software items that have been created on a daily basis. Once it loads, we can see a steady incline trend of how many incidents have been created on a daily basis. We can adjust this graph to show incidents created within a 7-day period, or even a 28-day period for that matter. So we can see that it's changed to a 7-day trend. If I scroll down a little bit lower, we can see different types of reports such as resolved incidents, 7-day running sum, average resolution time. We can even see open incidents that have not been updated, open incidents that have not been updated in more than 30 days. And all this information can be drilled down into. So if we want to take a look at a particular day on this report, we can click on the report and it'll take us to the scorecard. Now, from a scorecard view, we have different ways of looking at the data. We have a few other capabilities as well. By looking at the chart, if we want to narrow down the information, we have the capability of actually driving the date range field that we'd like. We can adjust what days we're looking for and the duration of time that we're looking for. We look at the top, we can also see which particular date we're looking at, and this can be changed just by clicking. We also have the capability of setting comments. So if we want to add a comment to advise why we've seen a steady increase in incidents for this particular day, we could say a new application was released on this date. Now, when we're reviewing this at a later time or on a longer duration period, we can actually see comments that have been made with regards to this particular record. We can also set targets. So if we want to set a target where we should not exceed 75 incidents for a day, we can set those targets. And we can also set thresholds as well. So we can set up notifications to be sent out to individuals whenever thresholds hit an all-time high, an all-time low, less than or more than. Within this functionality, we also can take a look at the different breakdowns that have been created for this particular indicator. And we can see that we have the different breakdowns. Currently, we're looking at the number of open incidents on September 15th according to their priority. We could filter this down to see only an individual priority, or we could look at it across the entire duration of this report. We can also see the number of incidents that were created on this particular day. We can also see the trend. We can see this is an upward trend. This can also be broken down in multiple ways. We can break it down by assignment group. So we can take a look at all the assignment groups, or we can go ahead and filter for a particular assignment group if we'd like. We can also filter down by states, and we can also filter down by the actual age of the incidents. If we want to drill down a little bit further to get a little bit more information, we can actually look at the individual records that were used in order to create this report by clicking on the records. Now, we can take a look at these records and we can hover over the information bar and actually see pertinent details with regards to the particular incident. So we don't even have to drill down very far and we can get details with regards to each particular incident. At any point, these can be exported to Excel, CSV, XML, or so forth. We can also take a look at the particular scores. So now we're looking for a duration period, and each day we can see how many particular records have been created or how many incidents are open on each particular day. If we scroll over to the comments area, we can actually see how many comments have been made. So we can see that that was a comment that I just entered in as an administrator. Lastly, we can go ahead and take a look at the More Info tab, where we can actually see the description of this particular report, when the jobs are being run to obtain the data, when the job was last run, and what direction this particular indicator is. Right now, we're looking to minimize the number of open incidents on a daily basis. We also have other dashboards within Performance Analytics that are out of the box, such as the incident management one. By clicking on the incident management dashboard, we'll be seeing slightly different reports. So now, again, we can see an open incidents report. Only on this one, we're looking at a little bit more information. We're looking at the overall open incidents, the overall incidents that have not been updated in 30 days, and open incidents that have not been updated in 5 days. So we can see that here. When I scroll down a little bit further, we can see some of the basic indicators that were created when we were creating these indicators. So we can see number of new incidents, number of resolved incidents, incident backlog growth, and number of open incidents. The nice thing about performance analytics is if you click on any one of these particular reports, it'll take you to the search criteria or the scorecard that was used to build that particular metric. So again, we can look at the breakdowns, we can look at the records. And the nice thing about looking at scorecards, which we'll look at in a little bit more depth later on, but we also have the capability of comparing two dates. This is new functionality in the Istanbul release. So if we want to take a look on September 15th versus September 20th, we have that capability as well. If I scroll down, we can also see charts for all new incidents that have been created and new incidents priority. What performance analytics gives us the capability of doing is actually modifying this particular type of report on the go. So we can actually adjust what type of graph we're looking at. So for example, if we want to show a line graph, and we can even adjust the priority versus category. So all of this can be done in real time. When this is being done, we also have the capability of actually exporting the images as a PNG or a JPG file. So this can be shared with different members of the team. We could also automate these reports to automatically send them out to members within the organization. So you could schedule these types of reports as well. While looking at the incident management dashboard, we can also see open incidents, which when it loads, we'll be able to see pertinent details such as the number of open incidents, the average age of open incidents. And again, we could drill down further on all of these types of reports. We also have a page for new incidents, so percentage of new critical incidents. We can even see resolution incidents as well. Next, I'm going to go into scorecards, show you guys all the different types of scorecards that we have out of box. So we can see out of box, when looking at a scorecard, we can filter down our scorecards by the best scorecards, the worst scorecards, the most improved, degraded, or all. We also have the capability of drilling down to each one of these particular scorecards. So taking a look at some of the scorecards that are out of the box, we can see percent of incidents resolved by first assignment group, percent of new critical incidents, and we have quite a few. Total, we have 19 out of box. Now we can take a look at one of the scorecards in more depth. By clicking on any one of the scorecards, it'll take you to the scorecard itself. And again, this is where we can add or change comments, set targets, or set thresholds. We can also adjust the information. If we want to see a 1-month trend, we can adjust to see all records total within the system. And then if I hover over, we can see that I've left a comment on this particular scorecard. The next thing I'm going to show you guys is we actually have score sheets within the ServiceNow Performance Analytics tool as well. So we have a number of different score sheets. Score sheets can be created for your particular organization's needs. So right now we're looking at the number of open incidents. We can see by priority, by category, also by assignment group. So we can display the information in multiple different ways. Now that we've seen what some of the dashboards look like, we've seen what the scorecards look like, and what the score sheets look like, I'm going to go into a automated indicator to show you some of the information that's obtained when creating an automatic indicator. So we can see there are a number of out-of-box indicators just by activating the incident content pack. We can see that there's a total of 37. Again, these can be used, they can be modified, or new ones can be created. By clicking on one of these, I'm going to open up and show you the form to show you what type of information is obtained when we're creating an indicator. We can see the name of the indicator, we can see a description. And then scrolling down, we can see in the indicator properties that the direction of this particular indicator is to minimize. We can see that the unit that we're using is a number. And then if I scroll down a little bit further, we can see additional conditions. So these are the conditions that I was talking about earlier in the PowerPoint presentation, where you can adjust specific field values specifically to indicators as your choice. We can add and or conditions to fill whatever your organization needs. We can see when defining an indicator, we can define specific breakdowns for this indicator. We can see time series exclusions if there are any. And then lastly, we can see what jobs are actually running to fulfill the data collection for this particular indicator. So that's what a automatic indicator or automated indicator looks like. We also have manual indicators and formula indicators that can be defined depending on your organization's needs. If I scroll down a little bit lower, I'm going to take a look at breakdown forms just to show you what they look like and show you some of the data that's obtained when creating a breakdown. When looking at a breakdown, we can see we have the type of breakdown it is, the name, and we could define a description. We could define the breakdown source. And if I scroll down, we can see that we're pulling this from the task table, as this is a task table field. We can see breakdown relationships. So the user must be a member of an assignment group for this to show true. And then we can also set access control. So who can see this particular type of breakdown? We can make it visible to everybody. We can make it visible to groups and users. And there's a number of other ways we can restrict the type of information being viewed. The last thing I want to show you guys for today's demo is show you guys the jobs that are currently out of the box. As I said, ServiceNow does have roughly 350 different predefined indicators. If you turn on any of the content packs, generally they have jobs associated to them, but those jobs can be modified to whatever the organization needs those jobs to be modified to. By opening up one of the jobs, we can see what type of information is obtained. So we can see the name of the scheduled job. We can see a description of it. We can set collection parameters. So the operator, start time. If we scroll down, we can see who it's run by, what time zone it's run in, whether or not it's active, and we can even set the time that we want this particular report to run. We can set it to daily, weekly, monthly, periodically, once, or even on demand. If I scroll down a little bit further, we can see all the particular indicators that are being collected in this job. And then if I look at the job logs, we can actually see how many times this job has been run and the state of those particular jobs. So that's what I want to show everybody today with regards to performance analytics. What we're going to do now is we're going to move it over to the question and answering portion of today's session.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Bruce. There are a couple of questions. We'll get to them in just a moment. As a reminder, please use the question section to ask a question on today's topic. So first question, Bruce, what's the difference between the included ServiceNow reports and the reports generated from performance analytics?
And that's a great question. So the way that performance analytics differs from normal reporting within ServiceNow is that normal reports look at a single snippet of information. Performance analytics looks at data over a period of time, compiles those screenshots of information to provide you with a clear and concise view of the overall performance of a particular business service, service offering, or even incidents, problems, and changes.
Okay, excellent, thank you. I think you already covered this, but maybe there's some other information you can share. Can I export performance analytics information like I can a ServiceNow report?
Yes, so ServiceNow Performance Analytics data can be exported similar to how I was showing you guys in a demo by locating particular scorecards, we can export the records that were used to create that particular report. We also have the capability of exporting the graphs through PNG or JPG file types. And we also have the capability of scheduling reports to be automatically sent out to individuals within the organization.
Okay, excellent. What are the top indicators that reflect customer satisfaction?
So in ServiceNow Performance Analytics, we have a number of different types of reports that can reflect customer satisfaction. There is a content pack specific to surveys, which we can pull out-of-box reports pertaining to customer satisfaction surveys. We can also look at types of reports for incidents, problems, changes, and requests, for resolution times, for updating times, for the entire life cycle of these particular types of records. So there's a number of ways of looking for it. What we recommend from an Alcor perspective is to look for what particular KPI the customer is trying to fulfill. And then we generally will look at what's out of box, make modifications, or create custom reports to fulfill those needs.
Okay, good, thanks. Is there ability to share the metrics onto Excel sheets or a Slack channel?
Yes, so within an integration, it can be displayed to a Slack channel. As far as exporting the information, it can be exported in XML formats. It can be exported in multiple different formats. So yes, that can be done.
Okay. How can I group by a total number of tickets? For example, the top 10 created tickets yesterday.
So we can build an automatic indicator to look for that type of information. Because each client's instance is slightly different, the way they obtain their information is slightly different, I would recommend spending some one-on-one time with the individual that asked that question just to fully address and ensure that we can capture that information. But there's a number of different ways we can do that.
Okay. All right. I have used performance analytics for some time. However, is there best practices around setting standard metrics for PMOs and finance-related metrics? I found bad data can sadly impact the output.
Yes, and I completely agree with that. With any given reporting application or module, the data coming in needs to be as clean as possible in order to be able to report off of. If the data coming in is inconsistent, one thing that we recommend as a consulting firm is to take a look at the data, look for data consistencies, and then build our reports off of that. What I would recommend for this particular question is to activate the content packs for financials and for PMO in a development instance. Maybe import some of the information over and see how that information is looking, just to look for some data consistencies. But without being able to fully see the information or vet the information, it's hard for me to give best practices without knowing the data, the state of the data.
Of course, of course. Okay. Are there certain fields I need to be capturing in ServiceNow to make PA beneficial to us? In other words, what are the minimum items I need to be tracking to be able to get effective reporting out of PA?
So that's actually a great question. Because performance analytics, all the data is being collected within ServiceNow. If any particular client is using incident, problem, change, essentially any module within ServiceNow, we're going to be collecting data off of dictionary items that exist within the system. Out-of-box content packs that are activated, or even out-of-box reports, are using the same type of data fields. So we would create custom jobs to pull those fields from, pull values from those particular fields. If there's a customer that has a lot of customization within their incident forms, for example, we would have to create custom jobs to look for any new fields that are custom in the instance. But out of box, you should be able to do some pretty good reporting.
Okay. And I think, let me just make sure there's no, can I run custom queries for my department?
Yes, custom queries can be created. What would have to occur first is we'd have to define formula indicators. And those formula indicators, we can set specific conditions, or we could even set coding in order to pull the values that are required. We've actually done this for a few clients before. One specifically where we were trying to report off of a customer satisfaction survey, but they wanted to exclude certain questions from the survey itself. So we were able to create a custom formula in order to exclude those values. But yes, they can be done.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, I think that's it for questions. Let me just double check. That is it for questions. All right. So excellent. Very informative. Thanks very much, Bruce. The recording of today's webinar will be available on our website, www.alcortech.com, and through our social networking sites. Thanks, everyone, for joining. See you at the next webinar.